Perfect. Well, let's begin. All right. Tina Turner is one of my gods. There's an epigraph for this poem that I'll share with you. Blueprint for leaving a black man. I'm a new pair of eyes every time I am born. Ike hit Tina and then she hit him solo. Debut, the brink of a platform boot in the back seat of a limo scene. Miss Turner left that black man. Her name and autumn weave split. You know you love him but can't understand why he treats you like he do when he's such a good man. 1984. Tina can't stand the rain against her window. Brings back sweet memories. Oh, pain, don't you remember? The a cappella arabesque of a Proud Mary solo. Buddhist rosaries confessed a Hail Mary of catcalls caused by her fishnets duet with a denim mini. Let's skirt. Ike called back. Sometime after midnight, he wanted to re-rehearse stage positions again. He agreed that he looked great right there next to Tina holding his bass guitar and afro pick. Then shouted, "You better be good to me." My husband, too, held a 6-shooter to my head. I negotiated what's love got to do with staying. Our asleep children nestled like toes in peekaboo stilettos, and that scratched vinyl of a night looped. I'm a soul survivor the night I became queen. You know, you got to write about them when they piss you off. It's a thing. A little bit about where I'm from. One of the things for this next poem that I think is important to know is that American Horror Story Season 3 is awesome. And that my mom used to be Miss Tallahassee. Okay. Florida Coven. Not sure I'm strong enough to cast this spell, but Marie Laveau entrusts her to wear the crown of power, seance gumbo, etouffee, and a blanket of snake skins to Zora. A Florida girl, too, drenched in light, baptized by Gulf ties. A conjurer who can make a man come home and recipe Grigri to rule the man you love. So no surprise, there are no real borders in the play Fences. Yet it usurps female runes from Tallahassee, my birthplace. The lineage of Florida women grow chicory roots. So no surprise, Angela Bassett's cast as Marie Laveau reconjures the ancestral narrative of our American horror story. So then I am a conduit mulatto, one of the first skeleton keys created by a Bayesian blacksmith with Cherokee brows. A Florida gal from a coven, women grown right up out the ground, with hips as wide as the Okeechobee. So no surprise, every man I've ever loved falls entranced, still ponders what it means to miss Tallahassee. That's what's wrong with the men sometimes. They just can't let go. Just can't let go. All right. Nano insists I read this poem. This was an interesting time writing this poem, I remember. Natalie and I were still doing our MFA, and one of our poetry teachers insisted that the poems we had been writing were so boring. He was like, "You need to give me something interesting." And I was like, "Wow, you're the first person to ever call me boring." So I tried. Double Dutch bust. Want to hear some grown-up shit? He locked up. Got 45 for false imprisonment and aggravated assault. I solely parent while that pantomime on furlough eats for free. He forced a double-barreled curling iron there where he came. The power cord ain't long enough to serve his outlet. He enters me instead, holds a 6-shooter hostage against my frame, clutches me, and pillages our waterbed's sheets. Prisoners, our shadows furnish the living room as heavy hips compass his junk inside me. It didn't make the news. Mama said the other girl was nearly beaten from her life.
What do you have to say about that?
Well, the ex-husband is still in prison. What year is it? All right. He got 45 years in 1997. So I don't know how many more he has left.
No, the professor.
Oh, nothing.
He didn't write boring on the top.
He didn't write boring, but he didn't say anything. Maybe he was speechless. Let's hope he was speechless. Let's go with speechless. Let's go with speechless. I think it's only appropriate to follow up with a breakup poem, but it's kind of a revenge poem. But the thing you need to know is that this one didn't actually happen. Also, this poem makes most men really nervous.
Put on your seatbelts, guys.
I'm newly married and this makes my husband nervous. So he hasn't let me cook since he heard me read this one aloud. Okay.
That might be a blessing.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Any Prince fans?
Of course.
All right. Sheila E.? All right. So the title of this poem is A Love Bazaar. And it's the first part. But that's a song that Prince wrote for Sheila E. on her Glamorous Life. Y'all know, okay. If you don't know and you're young, write it down. It's one of my mantra songs. Have a seat comfortably anywhere. I didn't wear pockets. So, and then he keeps saying, hide it. And I'm like, okay. Doing the best I can. I could only think of one place to really hide it, but he wouldn't want it back. Okay. So, what's interesting about this poem is that I take two poetic forms as a challenge and I make them have a baby. So I take a poem form that Terrence Hayes invented called The Golden Shovel, and then I make it have a baby with the guzzle. You with me? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Now, the Golden Shovel was created to honor Gwendolyn Brooks, the poet Gwendolyn Brooks. But I use a poem instead by Sonia Sanchez embedded in this poem. And that poem by her is famous. The movie Love Jones is where it's featured. I'm going to read her poem first, which is embedded in the poem, and then I'm going to read my marrying of the two forms with her poem embedded inside. I gather up each sound you left behind and stretch them on our bed each night, and I breathe you and become high. Since this troubled man's slow dig in my sugar ditch, I concocted a roux. I made a seafood gumbo from scratch for him with a hex concocted roux. I gather up an absolute tolerance of onion, garlic, thyme, and each sound. I add filet, paprika, butter, and flour to clot the roux you left behind. Tomatoes simmer into a vermilion stew. I steep and stretch them, a nylon sachet chock full of Creole metacarpal runes on our bed. Cast all my grandma's double L's, Stella and Isabella each night, and some hairs he left in the tub, and spit sigils to seal the roofs. I breathe you with a little salt and a lime. I later berry bloom down and become high. In soil I transport from St. Helena. You'd grew if you only knew I walk with ghosts. If he only knew I fed him what I would not swallow. The savory gush in his roux was his own jism. Because he's a two-time and no diamond man, and we can't make it, sugar. You ain't playing by the rules. So if the men didn't get that, you tap your little wife and girlfriend or daughter and sister on the shoulder, and then they'll explain what had happened was. Okay? It didn't happen. I thought about it, so I just wrote about it instead. Everybody got it? I did make the gumbo for the man. The man is real, but I did not do the X in the poem. I just want to practice saying that. Some people are just like, I don't believe you. Okay. Desperate housewife blues. The sifted dust of nuptials falls as lightly as powdered sugar on beignets onto his starched collars and lapels, as filters of stiff, ornery grounds of Café du Monde sag in room corners. A Tiffany blue litter box of dog collars lies like diamond apology chokers, and indiscretions hold hotel receipts the way magnets on the steel face of a fridge clutch grocery list for ordinary pantry contents. While an aerosol of waste management boils under an eggshell chandelier. Moulin Rouge lipstick sharpies the family calendar filled with push pins tacked over ecru, cratered walls plastered with the stench of boredom. Lavender and vanilla, Arm & Hammer suffocates the stiletto-strewn carpets. The wry grins of vacation photos fixate on lint rollers rottened by mildewed promises as Big Mama Thornton whines, love's got a hold on me, baby, feels just like a ball and chain, deafens the daffodils and African violets on the sill. The thing about this poem is we all know ball and chain. Whose version do you know? Janis Joplin, mostly. Big Mama Thornton wrote it and performed it. And you should watch it on YouTube because it's damn good. I got it on vinyl. I love it on vinyl. I'm going to skip the real heavy start poems for a while and come back to them. Is that cool? Going back to my Florida. Southern Girl Hymn. I come from below the bedazzled belt of the Mason-Dixon line, from a place where the Florida's boot can be seen as Jim Crow's stiletto. I come from women who rule bluesmen who carry guitar picks as pacifiers and rub out cigarette butts like blunts of sage, with the same circuitous notion that a wedding ring does not make them monuments or placeholders on pot shelves. I come from women with swollen hands who create to spite a Parkinson's tremor and rogue memory. The sugar-girdled hips and red velvet laughter luring insulin the way Cat 4 hurricanes sepia Gulf skylines. Snap its shawl to whip pecan trees and rustle ratchet wind chimes on wooden front porches. Where I come from, my South, sounds like pejorative stereotypes, like the clanging of my mother's aluminum cake pans, like Trayvon Martin's "thank you ma'am" drawl at checkout, and Paula Dean's braised remark to Hollis Johnson, an employee she asked to join her on stage, saying, "He's as black as a chalkboard behind me." I come from magnolias and dogwoods, strawberries and wild onions, stalks of cornfields and wild acre peas, muscadine trees and cotton emancipations, of reneged 40-acre deeds. A place under a horizon of fickle rainstorms where snow only pleads for raincoats, Grandma Lacey's crocheted hats, and a red-thumbed mitten. I come from secrets too big to be heard, a noise so loud angels would swoop and dive from heaven. where you got to be able to either sing the battle hymn of the Republic or Dixie. Oh yeah, we're just gonna do some more breakups. Is that cool? I know I started this poem with Nelly too, because I had a breakup. I don't know his name. I don't remember them people. Anyway, letter to my boyfriend, whomever he was, bless his heart. A silent, QWERTY, Palantino linotype, Times New Roman or Book Antigua, breakup font is less formal than honey or dear. Hey boo, my boo. I've stammered over all this all day. No, too formal, too formal. There's something I've been meaning to tell you. It's not me, it's you. It's all because of you, all about you. We talk of nothing else if it isn't concerning you. You and your daddy's baby mama drama must have playbills in print, delineating the role of each of the characters you play in one act. The ink press must be pissed at the number of extras hired to eyeball each of your soliloquies. No one is listening. Interest owed in full. I'm bored with Center Stage starring you. How come I bring a dozen roses every night? I don't know who he was. He made me mad, I guess. This is one of my favorite poems because it's true. And I think that we live in this world where the dichotomy is so that women are always victims, and sometimes we forget how much power and control we have, especially when it comes to intimacy and sex. Yeah, and being sexy. Yeah, I like that we are in control of that, not other people. That means we remove the male gaze. So all guys in here, I'm sorry. But I'm usually in control. Stiletto wedged. A. Legendary headlights proud. His white baton deflated, sticky, from one chocolate martini, 2 buttery nipples, and a salty senorita. B. A pair of olives arrested him. I was an extra in the Miranda Act. C. I fucked him, slowly seated his lap, in the back seat, in the parking lot, in front of the nightclub. He and the cop both came. For those of you who are giggling and afraid to giggle, please laugh louder. If the other people didn't get it, you just, tap them on the shoulder. Like, you missed that. The cop, and the man, okay. There was 2 people, okay. 3 people, all right. In music, when musicians borrow music from another artist, it's called sampling, right? And I talk to my students about this all the time. I usually use Beyonce as like my example because she samples so much, and a lot of young people aren't aware. They think that what they hear is the first time it's ever been done. And I was like, no. Have you heard of something called history? Like, it was here before you and me. Okay. But anyway, they're always in shock, and it's really fun. So this poem is a sampling, but in poetry we usually call it, there are different terms for it. The most famous one is a cento, where you borrow lines from other works, written works. It doesn't have to be poetry only. So this is a sampling. It's called In Miracle of the Black Female Poet. And it's after Phyllis Wheatley, Lucille Clifton, and June Jordan. Won't you please come and celebrate with me what she shapes into a kind of life? without a model, both non-white and woman. A sable Venus whose voyage blesses boats that brought her here, and thank whatever gods may be for her unconquerable soul. Oh, come and do marvel at how could she sing and know of a lyrical life? How did she know and see to be except herself? Come celebrate with me that I am. Perhaps you will, because each day something has tried to kill me and failed. I got my little tabs. This is so fun. This is like the most fun thing about having a book is that you don't have to use the printer anymore. Honest to God, it was. I was like, oh my God, look. I don't have to remember to print the poems before the reading. Now I get to use a little tab here and there. I'm going to get a sip of water because this next poem, it's a little long, but it's really interesting. But I want to talk to you about it. And Danielle is here. She was gracious enough to invite me to read and have a conversation with her students. But this is one of my autoethnography pieces, but it was a little long. And but I know that the adults are gonna hang with me because I've set the stage and you understand where I'm from. Make sense? Things you need to know. My living grandmother is 101, and my parents are cousins by marriage. Because they are cousins by marriage, they also grew up on the same 200 acres of Apalachicola National Forestry, where my 101-year-old grandmother still lives today, with a working well in the original house, built in 1936 by her second husband, and she has outlived 3 children. Got it? You with me? Oh, and my mom is close to Annie Potts from Designing Women. And my daddy was a Rolling Stone. Those are the things you need to know. Got it? Okay. On the outskirts of my father, I see a God-made anomaly. Through lakes large enough to receive with ease the gush of coal trains, a love supreme. This is a fact. My great-grandmothers always lived past 93, and all their husbands give birth to more sons and daughters who all, at one time or another, have been told to shut up. Don't talk too loud, too slow, or for too long. In Tallahassee, in the Carolinas, in the Gullah Sea Isles, and in Wakulla out Route 16, and in St. Peter's Primitive Baptist Church. My father tells me in his music group days during the high reign of Berry Gordy and soul, rock, and roll that men like him were recruited whenever they would roll into Tallahassee, a small old town full of abandoned fields. These men then were to commence impromptu jam sessions and were compensated the perks of it's a man's world. In spite of this, my father still toted me along with all his equipment, knowing girls always are only meant to be seen, elegant, and graceful in manner, appearance, and shape, and I would surely be scolded if heard recalibrating the language of my father's digest, or even the way he chords stories from those small provinces of silence into the kind of love that always troubles that silence into music. The first word I learned for poetry. The South struggles to stretch gentility, the quietly appealing or polite quality free from vulgarity or rudeness, taught over my body, a woman's body, my grandmother's, Stella and Isabella's bodies, and my mother's body, to mute the ancestor of language wristed by the brassy jangles of tambourines. I've learned this. My father's aunt married to my father's aunt married my mother's uncle. And some of us have been demure fabulous. For example, Stella redacted her first marriage to Gentris J. Jackson and taught me how to clean so I know who to fire. And my mother Dolly changed her name from Daisy, just like her mother Stella did, from Calalea, and she taught me how to bury secrets like her favorite cake recipes in the bottom of the silverware drawer. Isabella Bolden bartered the wealthy white surname Lewis from Lewis State Bank, the only bank in the South to survive the Great Depression. And Grandma Lacey is 101 years old. My father's mother outlived 3 sons, 2 husbands, and still lives in the house with the lamp-lit photo of JFK and a working well. Now, my father's blues post under a tombstone, like the last trail marker of the Chitlin Circuit. These are not lies. This is the truth. My family comes from a long line of women whose heartbeats sound like a needle run out of vinyl. Y'all doing good? You doing all right? Some people said, ooh, I just want to know if you were in pain. You all right?
Right.
You all right? Okay, good. Okay. The interesting backstory about this next poem is that it was someone I knew. His mother was an addict, but she was in her 60s now, and then the body starts to shut down, right, for reasons with that type of history. And it just struck me, just trying to imagine what that life and lifestyle would have been like, and okay, just a little bit. To me, it was like the title, Suicide, an addict's hymnal. She laid her burdens down, offered God ransom. Her soul, a note inserted into an empty bottle of vodka, drained after rallies held in alleyways, walking with lovers, oxygen thieves. She rouletted with needles in her veins, rode the white horse to a place to drown, was tossed and driven, battered by an angry sea. She could not sink, so she crashed into boulders and junk, offered hepatitis B a ride. He hitchhiked her highways, killed her kidneys. Now sprites of hallucinations are toms peeping from air ducts. What a privilege to carry everything to the Lord in prayer. Sad, ain't it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. It was sad. It was hard to visit with her too. I don't think I actually even got to meet her because she hallucinated so much. It was a crying shame. I love Dorothy Dandridge. Good. Want to make sure. And this is for her. Backstory is when Dorothy Dandridge auditioned for the role of the main character in the film by Otis Preminger. Y'all know the movie? What's the movie? Carmen Jones. Everybody got it? Okay. She was casted for the lesser role as Cindy Lou, the meek, polite, walked over girl. And she was like, no. So she was one of the queens I carry in my back pocket all the time. She ain't no Cindy Lou. Academy Awards 1955 for Dorothy Dandridge. Picture pixie-ish Hollywood actresses, figurines with white gams and stilettos, white, blonde, coiffed figurines with brunette brows. No shabby chics, glams and gems, couture. A meek, parasitic beauty, framed by white figures in ermine stoles, chiffon and crinoline. Cameras, flash, charade, voyeurism. Halo figurines, their 6 vixen frames, front row in boas, fidgeting in their seats. An irresistible salient feature amidst Grace, Ava, Judy, Jane, and Audrey. A dolled up Dorothy interrupts the cliche. This feat assures fixated doe eyes, dazzled as powdered noses, canopied picnic red pouts. Postures erect, gloved fingers, crossed as eyelashes applauded cheekbones. They curtsy, cut teeth on a black diamond's sepia flesh. Figured, without demur, some glib glam on the periphery initiates a whisper about a jet feature. Should Negroes leave Mississippi? An alcove tainted by the tabooed fruit of estranged and opal features, yet she's no shrinking violet. Without explanation, she figures, if I were white, I would rule the world. She actually said that, which was real taboo. She was really good friends with Marilyn Monroe, though. Okay. All right, we're gonna get to some harder stuff. Y'all good? You feeling all right? All right. I'm having fun.
Love you, yo.
I was trying to see if there was something I skipped where I was getting my little pacing down that I was gonna go back to. Double checking. Yep, there it is. There it is. Requested by the NanoNet. It's Brangelina NanoNet. Please start it. It should be a big thing.
I'm on it.
Okay. I hear religion's a big thing here. Vindictive grace. In the South, in the Black South, in the Black Southern family, in the church, in the Black church, in the Black Southern church, there are rules. There's no church without Sunday, no Sunday without school, and no bypass without family, or funerals without menus, or styrofoam plates of collards, cakes, and cornbread hymns. In the Black Southern church, sermons to side pews where collections of black ties and hats hum, hands hold popsicle stick fans with advertisements and gossip in Dolby surround sound, where funeral programs full of picture biography and still. So what if you attended a black college and studied electrical engineering and then were hired at Georgia Power and were a member of the union just to be close so you could drive to visit your daughter an hour away, and only worked on weekdays and every other weekend? The deacon and pastor will still say there is no heaven without a church home. That never made sense to me. At all. All right, we're gonna get to some. We're getting ready to get to some real hard. Y'all ready? All right, I'm just prepping you. Danielle is ready. She had a preview. All right. I can't say that I was a fire starter or a troublemaker, but I was curious. Like George the monkey, which got me into trouble, which made some people think I was a fire starter. Does that make sense? I mean, maybe one time at band camp, I really did start a fire. Half burly and bright. It started with the stolen matches in Uncle Bay's rolling papers. See, he always purchased the ones that came in a tiny rectangular box that looked like a linen closet for miniature dolls. The box was slightly longer than the book of matches that also sat on the coffee table next to his leather recliner in the crowded living room, full of furniture so close together that the espresso piano could only be played when he carefully removed each of my Aunt Ethel's porcelain tea set pieces from its bench, tucked away in a hidden nook. I took 2 of those rolling papers, thin as the wax paper my mama buries her cake batter so patiently on, to stuff the tobacco from its half and half burly and bright tin can before I could light the twisted wad with dexterity. Not bad. At least another slow drag, I thought, as the self-rolled cigarette tumbled onto the flat gray carpet. Then those flames of poinsettia leaves demonstrated how fire works. I jumped, stomped, and then shuffled the way Grandma Lacey does in her hand-sewn polyester white during Sunday sermons, not knowing that nothing could extinguish the bottom of a boiling pot-sized burn spot or the smell of sin. So I covered it with newspaper and prayer. Wasn't my fault it fell. I mean, it's just, let's try. Any Beyonce fans? All right. We have a love-hate relationship. If you Google Beyonce split screen, pick an artist. I would start with Tina Turner. Okay. Her entire career is modeled after the greatest, the queen of rock and roll. Just saying. So don't be offended, because it's not that I don't love Beyonce. I do. But we have a love-hate relationship, okay? So in this poem, I just kind of call her a nutbush rag doll. It's all right. It's okay. She's going to have her career anyway. All right. And there's an epigraph for those of us who are wanting to know some cool words. I'll try not to say it too fast, but just kind of pay attention to it. The epigraph is kind of like we're in an art gallery, and when you have the little placards next to the, right? And sometimes it's in Latin. Yeah? I kind of did my own thing with that. Nutbush Ragdoll. A vaudeville genius Narcissus. A misrepresentation by beyond, say, knows better. Basically. Just, all right. Beyonce people about to leave. This R&B action figurine accessorizes both the tattered denim mini and dominatrix black pleather skirt, popped collar, acid wash jean jacket, flesh against an invisible waist, and detachable sex icon wigs, and lace front lion's mane, switchable fishnets on or Hanes her way nylons, and true to scale 5-inch stilettos. This triple threat's 2 shades of mahogany and pomegranate lips accentuate steel chrome microphones. Flouts pop, bats false eyelashes, and facsimile patents, the blueprint, DIVA in divorcees, still tagged Queen of Legs. That's Tina. Of rock. On. Leans, rhythm on air's thighs, leans on rock. Oh, what thighs. Walk, southern city limits, Lone Star, icon, recon, the invader, hit remaker, shimmies, gospel, God spells, whoa, man. Whips her wigs back and forth, Still, choreo outperforms every little Southern girl's proud Mary private dancer karaoke dreams. Because I know y'all like Tina. Because that was rhetorical. Because if you don't like Tina, you can leave right now. 10 minutes ago. She is the queen. Yes? She and my mother are the same age. Miss Tallahassee. All right. Now we're going to talk about my mom. So it's going to be some trauma so you can find your little tissues and all that jazz and you'll be okay. Okay? All right. Just hold on. It'll be all right. I'll lift you up some later. Okay? But we got 2 sets. Truth be told. 1. Mother, I'm waiting for you to die. So I can tell the story about how on the night my husband tried to kill me, I called to tell you this would happen. My husband, the gun, the rape, the gun, the dream I had the night before under the ceiling fan, a metronome of doom, like the single sound of a turnstile playing What's Love Got to Do With It on repeat. I repeat, help me make it through the night. And you ignored my premonition while we were held hostage in that house on a 4-way stop. 2. All I could. Remember with the Sundays you and Daddy played Tina like the secular pray, let's stay together. But my husband and your grandkids and I drove by that house today on the corner of that 4-way stop. On the corner of that 4-way stop, I left that corner of the 4-way stop. And now I know you had to know how it takes a fool to learn how love don't love. Now I am a deck full of queens. Centuries who steal, claw, better be good to me. And I know you still believe that I deserve the soundtrack I live. But didn't I make you the most beautiful consequences of love? That's awesome. That was a hard poem, right? Yeah, I wrote that at Cave Conum while having a drink with Kevin Young in the other room. And he was like, let's hang out some more. Let's all go do. I was like, dude, I have your workshop in the morning. I don't have a poem. I got to write a poem for the work. Okay, here we go. All right. This is another poetic poem. It's the bop. And I'm going to read probably one more bop. Because Nana's going to tell me about time. I'm good? How am I?
2 or 3 more.
Okay, good. Okay. 2, y'all good? Okay. So there's a line, verse from a song in between each of the 3 stanzas. Got it? Okay. So the thing to know is Bessie Smith is awesome. Okay. Billie Holiday is awesome. Everybody got that? Okay. All right. That's what you need to know. And Zora Neale Hurston is also a god. Everybody got that? Okay, we're good. Bop, Autobiography of a Jukebox, or 5 Ways to Kill a Gardenia. Daddy never beat me like Mama did. She made me bend between my engorged breasts and pregnant belly over the tub edge to scrub porcelain white as a wedding dress she said I ain't never gonna be able to wear anyway. Saturday mornings, I removed the ring of sin, made it a virgin again, beat back nausea and silt. I kilt myself into exact, prepped folds of cotton, white cloth with Ajax, same way Gamma donned domestic work like reluctant prayer. I used to be your sweet mama, but now I'm just as sour as can be. Mama got demons in spades, used daddy's black leather belt, one he wore wherever he took me. Guess it was pride or maybe just her version of backhanded. It ain't easy to admit the blues is a woman, a supernatural something who carries a clutch of penance and provocation in bravado. Maybe mama would tell me, if she could, about life without my father. Offer more than a folder full of 40-year-old newspaper clippings with dog ears bent like the edges of Bessie's blue notes. Mama tucked her jealousy behind her ear like a gardenia. Yes, I'm mad and have a right to be after what your daddy did to me. Mama folded to her knees when her only daughter arched her back in the secular name of love, like Janie Crawford beneath a pear tree, her eyes watching God and a dust-bearing bee sink into sanctums of blooms. Instead of some pulpit and pews to line chastity's hymn, perhaps the blues is a good woman, quiet as it's kept, under siege in service of myth, to sharpen love in a nice dry house, perhaps. I just can't imagine how mama had to bend into an instrument never meant to carry her tune. I used to be your sweet mama, sweet papa, but now I'm just as sour as can be. I hear all kinds of sounds. That's cool. 2 poems, good? We'll do a sonnet. Cool? But of course it's about a funeral. Okay. People say the title's cheesy, but I like puns if you haven't been paying attention. Yeah? Okay. Grave site. Aunt Martha had to bend twice this year over grottos, practice the art of farming bones, accept death's polygamy like Ojo de Agua's living, Mirabelle, sister, grit the rigor of fists, and cross-stitch a delicate symphony. 2 needles of body's symbol, all the preparations that had to be made. She pined over mahogany, chose 2 caskets, one for her only son, crushed in his Cadillac, bandboxed in green, the other for her youngest brother, embezzled by asthma. Here in the anteroom of Strong and Jones' funeral home, a calligraphy of ties press the necks of formaldehyde kin.
Volta.
Oh, yeah. That's that fancy word for what just happened that I don't remember. That's kind of cool. That is what it's called. All right, last poem. My did I cover the ones that NanoNat wanted?
Did you read the Tony Hoagland one?
Oh, that's right. Here we go. This is the one. Everybody ready? Wow, you picked that over White Room Syndrome.
I think I did because I love it.
Yeah.
It's compromise.
That's right. That's right. Tony Hoagland is a poet, I think. Anyway, he published a poem, I think it was a poem, in the Paris Review called White Writer. Cool? Okay. On the surface, it's like, oh, okay, I don't know what this is going to be about. And then you repeat it, and you go, white writer, and you go, yes, it is. It's going to be racist. I just know it. And yes, it was. All right. So I decided to write a very non-racist poem that I thought would maybe inform him about how he should do things. But as a poet, I need you to understand that I didn't write the response poem and then do nothing. I sent it to Paris Review. You need to know that. No, they did not respond. But now it's published. Ha ha. Okay. Revenge by the pen is always the thing to do. Black writer after Tony Hoagland's white writer. Historically, this donkey gospel's been a partitioned, created since constitutions. It's been perceived that our persona eats multiple servings of well-seasoned turnip greens, and that we receive welfare checks at the first of every month. Nevertheless, we like being identified as black, as writers. Has this made it more difficult for us to publish? Rhetorically, so. But we can't get tired until we publish in white-only magazines. When I visit the shanty shelves of the African American literature section of the bookstore, how do I feel? I know that more of us write about more than just being that. Political scandals, intrepid divorces, dying parents. I know black readers too need to see their lives reflected on the page. Rememory and vinyl. The fear of vanishing. The job of the artist is not to leave you where she found you. This art requires gentrification. Subsequently, you will start to feel like the RITE of blanket cliches are all you'll ever RIGHT in this world. And gradually, throughout the picketing for contentions coloring who you are, you deflect it. It adumerates you to write WHITER. I mean RIGHTER and RIGHTER. Thank you.